The Audi Q7 has been around for 2 decades. That's right, 20 years. And when this car debuted, Tony Stark was all the rage, and I was 7. I distinctly remember as a kid that the Q7 was the definitive luxury 3-row SUV. The question is, though, now that we're heading into 2025 and this segment is red hot, is the Audi Q7 still on top? The Audi Q7 has seen some changes for 2025, mostly in the front end. So we've got a new set of headlights on this vehicle. They look really, really good. We've got this little point down here and then this running light design up top, which gives it a fresh new look. And for 2025, the Q7 has also received a new grille. Now, as with everything nowadays, it has to be big and bold, but it fits into the front end pretty well, especially with this illuminated Audi logo. So in the daytime, it doesn't look like much, but at night, the 4 circles are actually going to illuminate. Gives it a cool look, and we do have some radar sensors incorporated into the grille as well for some of the adaptive cruise control. Now overall, I think the car looks pretty good. They've done a nice job of keeping it fresh, if not a little derivative of the last models. We also have new wheels for 2025. So this is a 21-inch wheel with this gray on black finish. It may look like a single tone finish at first, but it's actually a 2-tone, and then it's wrapped in Pirelli 285/40 R21 tires. So really big, chunky tire combo. Now, as we make our way along the side, there's a couple of nice little subtle hints that you'll see. So in the B pillar, it actually says Audi and then Q7 TFSI Quattro. It's a nice little Easter egg, blacked out trim along the side. And then as we make our way to the rear, we're gonna find a new taillight design in alignment with all the other Audis in the lineup. And then down low, we actually have real exhaust ports. So really impressed that Audi has a genuine exhaust port instead of some faux thing. One of the coolest things about the Q7, the sheer number of engine options. So on the base end, you can get this car with a turbo 4-cylinder, 261 horsepower. If you've got big budgets, you can get this vehicle with a 4-liter V8 with 500 horsepower. And this is the Goldilocks engine. So this is the Q755. It has a 3-liter turbocharged engine with a mild hybrid setup, developing 335 horsepower. I think this is kind of the way to go. I know that SQ7 may seem very, very, very attractive if you have the money, but you get 20 mpg with this mild hybrid setup, pretty decent sound, and it pushes the car along just fine. Let's see what the acceleration is like in this Q755. So I'm going into dynamic. I'm going to brake torque this turbocharged V6 a little bit. Full throttle, pretty decent launch, really picks up about 4,000 RPM, and then this 8-speed at full throttle does a great job of keeping it above 4,500 RPM, so at full throttle you know that turbo is ready to go. It's a pretty quick car. It doesn't make you excited to drive it like an SQ7 would or like a V8 X5 would, but it's pretty smooth. I do like the power delivery of the BMW a little bit more, but I like this engine more than, for example, the Genesis or Lexus options. So this is a good powertrain, fairly decent in economy, overall 20 mpg combined, and it really does the trick with moving your family and all your friends down the road. Let's talk about the interior of the Q7. It has a $12,100 prestige package, and let me tell you what that gets you. It's a lot of stuff, including the Bang & Olufsen premium sound with 3D sound. It's got the dual pane acoustic glass for the side windows. I mean, this thing's got everything in it, including memory seats for the passenger side, but that brings the total price on this Q7 to nearly $84,000. So this is a pricey vehicle, but let's talk about the interior because it's a little understated. Not a ton of flashy design like you might get in something like the Genesis GV80, but it's a very functional interior. Now, my big complaint is the sheer amount of piano black everywhere. It's on the dash, it's on the center console, it's even on the left side of the steering wheel. It's just way too much piano black. It's super fingerprinty and easily scratched. However, once you get beyond that, it's a pretty classy place to spend time. So the power seats, very comfortable, very supportive. They do everything I need them to do, and they're just an excellent place to spend a lot of time. Audi's using a dual screen setup in this vehicle. Now for 2025, we do have some new apps in this vehicle like Spotify included in the main screen here, and it runs as a Google operating system for things like the map data, which is just the best in the industry. Really high res, pretty easy to use. We got shortcut tiles along the left side of the screen. It's a good system. Below that, we are going to have a digital screen for everything climate control. Now, I would prefer to have physical controls for heated seats and ventilated seats, physical controls for temperature and fan. It's all going to be digital. This screen is haptic, so you do get a little buzz when you go ahead and touch it, but having those physical controls would be nice. We do have, like I said, 4-zone automatic climate control, heated seats, ventilated seats, and we do have a physical volume and track advancement knob, which I really like. Pretty satisfying shifter feel, actually. I really like that. It returns to a central detent when you shift it, which is not my favorite, but it's very functional. And then we also have paddle shifters on this model, couple of cup holders, good sized center console. One little miss for me is the wireless charger is deep in the center console. So if you needed to get to your phone for whatever reason, you're gonna have to kind of futz with that a little bit. Steering wheel, leather wrapped, feels excellent, great steering wheel feel, and then a fully digital cockpit as well, which is very clear and easy to read. So from the front seat standpoint, too much piano black, but otherwise a great interior. So we hop into the back seat. One thing which is nice for parents to avoid door slams. Oh, I love me a good soft closed door. Actually, really functional back seat, driving position 6 feet tall, lots of leg room, and then really a lot of headroom, which is awesome. And then kind of a nicely laid out rear seat where the middle seat is a little wider than I'm usually used to. So if you got a middle seat passenger, it doesn't feel like you're in a penalty box. And even at 6 feet tall, I have enough headroom from the middle seat. Now, another thing worth noting, back here we have outboard heated seats, which is very cool. We get change our 2 zones of climate control, and we even have a little bit of recline. So if you want to get extra comfy back here, you can. Lots of rear seat air vents. That's a big deal for me down here and also along the pillars. So if you've got kids or furry friends, they're going to stay cool. So hopping into the third row of the Q7. Now, not every vehicle in this class has a third row, which is interesting. This competes with vehicles like the GV80, the BMW X5. There's a lot in this class, but let's talk about how you get back there. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this lever. That's gonna fold down the second row, which is great for longer items. And then I'm gonna push in on this handle. There's gonna be a beep, and that's gonna hydraulically lift. And now I can check out the third row. Now this is an extremely small third row. If I were to try to set the seat down, I mean, the only way that's gonna happen is if I go into full-on relax mode, because there is not a lot of legroom back here. Now, to fix this problem, what you can do is you can actually, this is not gonna be a good shot, Mary, there we go. You can actually slide the seats and then work out, pull up on some levers, and now it's a usable third row. But it's pretty tight back here. Your knees are also pretty high. Got a couple of cup holders, a couple of seat belts, and a couple of seats. But if you want a really good third row, the Lexus TX is the way to do that. From a driving standpoint, Audi has nailed the ride quality in this car. This one does have the 4-corner air suspension, and it just floats down the road. Big bumps, small bumps, it just doesn't seem to care. It really is a nice driving car. Now, the chassis doesn't feel particularly dynamic. Oddly enough, there is a decent amount of steering feel, which I did not expect from a 3-row luxury crossover, but it doesn't entice you to drive faster. But if you want a really comfortable place to just cruise down the road, the Audi is probably one of the best in class. So other things to know about how the Audi drives and operates. Very quiet. Now with this Prestige package, first of all, you can't hear the window go down, which is very cool. And then you can feel that double glazed glass, which is a nice option. What it means is that at 50, 55, 60, it is almost dead silent in here. Even with the fan going, a really quiet HVAC fan, it's very serene from a driving standpoint. And it has pretty decent driver assistance technology, obviously blind spot monitoring and adaptive cruise. It all seems very good and very reliable from an operation standpoint. So I'm very impressed with this car overall. You know, it's not as exciting to look at as a Genesis. It doesn't feel as exciting to drive as the BMW, but if your primary goal, as it probably is in this class, is to haul 6 or 5 folks in luxury, the Q7 is still probably the best in class at doing that. It just works really well. Trunk space in the Audi Q7. So I'm gonna pop the hatch, pretty wide area here. You're gonna notice too that the tail lights lift with the rear hatch, which means that down here we're gonna have functional hazards per the law. Now, it doesn't look like a ton of space back here, about 14 cubic feet with these rear seats up. Now let's go ahead and fold these down. Got a couple of little levers we can pull to actually activate those headrests, and then there's some buttons over here that I can push to fold it down. Now, with all the seats folded, that's gonna jack our cargo space up to about 68 cubic feet, and look at the load floor here. Good size, easy to lay down, even at 6 feet tall. This would be a great camping rig. So good setup back here in the trunk of the Q7. Space is right on with its rivals, which is important. And then if we look underneath the floor, lift up on the handle, we're not gonna find a spare in this vehicle, but we are gonna find that Bing & Olufsen sub back here. So that's where that lives. And then we've just got a simple tire inflation kit if things go really off the rails. Folks, let me know what you think in the comment section below. A huge thank you to our new videographer and editor, Mary, behind the camera, and we'll see you in the next video.